Good morning. Welcome back to another early morning conversation here on Effective Living. I'm Coach Ricardo Miller, and I'm very excited about this morning's talk because on Fridays, I decided I wanted to do something a little bit different. I wanted to answer questions. And over the next few months, the goal is to have different people come on at different times to ask questions. And so this morning I have a distinguished young lady, Angela Marks. Welcome back to Effective Living.
Good morning, Coach. Good morning. It's so great to be here.
Listen, this is going to be exciting. We've been changing it up a little bit. It's day 1 of September. You ready for September?
I am. I got my goals written down and everything.
It's going to be a month. It's going to be a great month. My hope is that I don't know the questions you're going to ask, but my hope is that the questions that are asked, these are questions people want to know. They're trying to figure out some things. And my goal is, as a life management coach, is to try to help people navigate their way through their journey to living life to the fullest. And so I've been given a few other questions on the side. Hopefully they'll put those in the chat and we can get this thing rolling. So Angela, I'm going to turn it over to you. You throw the questions to me, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know the questions, and I'm going to try my best to answer them. And if you want to ask me questions next week, Friday, or any other Friday, we could schedule you guys in and let's do this together. Angela, it's all yours.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Y'all ready? So, Coach, one thing I realized is that I am not the person I was when I started off in high school.
Okay.
When I was in high school, I had these things I wanted, who I wanted to be, what I wanted to become. And what I realized is that the older I got and the more that I went through certain experiences. So what my desires were in high school, by the time I got to college and I graduated, they have changed. And then as I get older, they change. They have changed. And sometimes when we interact with people and we bring people in our lives during a certain season when we may have one desire, as we grow, those things change, and even those people. Can you take a moment to just speak to that fact that we may set certain goals or ideas and who we want to be, but we are evolving as we grow, but even through our life experiences. So like we talked about the other day, people drop off during certain seasons in our lives. But what would you say to the person that's saying, I have these dreams and these goals, but yet I'm still evolving as a person, and helping them understand that those things may change over time?
Angela, I'm going to post this on my, I want to make sure I post this with you guys on my Coach Ricardo Miller Facebook page. Such a great question. I'm going to answer that right now for you, Angela. The question is based on the fact that we all are changing. And the truth is, most people don't accept the fact that the person you were won't be the person you'll always be, which is why I think this is not necessarily a compliment, which when you hear somebody say, you haven't changed at all. You haven't changed at all. The truth is, we're supposed to be changing. So I think it's just a level of self acceptance. One, I could have aspired to be something, but the truth is, as life goes on, we discover that all that I aspired to be may not be in God's plans for me to be. And even though I desire to be that, it may not be that God want me to be that or be that at the timeline that I thought. And so along the way, the goal is to find self. And in finding self, you will discover that what you thought was self wasn't quite self. I'm gonna give you an example. Years ago, I had a couple of things on my bucket list that I thought if I were to acquire those things, life at its best would be mine. Well, guess what? I acquired those things and life wasn't at its best. And
Yeah.
now I'm learning to try to figure out to become who I was created to be. And people are now seeing a massive change. And the change is based on me being authentically me now, allowing God to be who God really needed to be, rather than the Ricardo Miller who had conjured up some ideas that he felt he wanted and was in pursuit of, but wasn't giving him what God wanted him to have, which was ultimately peace and contentment wherever I found myself.
So good. So good. So I want to bounce off something you just said. This
Yeah.
is the next question. How do I find out who the authentic me is?
Man, such an amazing question. Angela, when I listen and talk to a lot of clients, you almost hear that the vast majority of their position is coming from external.
Hmm.
It's coming from external. Well, my mama said,
Hmm.
my teacher always said, my pastor said, my boss said. Along the way, there's this constant pursuit of trying to be what everybody else has said. How do you find your authentic self? You got to spend some time with yourself.
Mm.
The Bible actually says that the Bible says, one, study to show yourself approved. And then the Bible encourages us to meditate. Meditation has gone unrecognized and sort of underappreciated on our journey to living life to the fullest. You almost know a person hasn't discovered themselves when they can't spend time with themselves.
Wow.
And meditation allows you to learn how to disconnect to be with you.
Wow.
And to be able to be at a pond, to be at a lunch desk, just simply eating, not on social media, not even reading a book, but you're just there and watch the people we see normally in positions like that. They'll say, she must be depressed. She must be going through a hard time. She's over there sitting by herself. When you could actually be just starting to connect with self, and it's called unplugging. That's really what meditation is. It's
Yeah.
disconnecting and becoming connected with you. And so with your phone, I don't know if you're an Apple person, you might be an Android person, so it may not apply. But
The Apple person.
yeah, right. Every now and again, you need to turn off your phone
Yeah.
to help the phone to perform at its best. How do you become your authentic self? You disconnect yourself from the world. You turn off and you spend some time with you. And then that's why journaling is important. I know you're a person, you believe in journaling. Journaling, watch this, journaling and meditation go hand in hand because you start discovering those inner dynamics. Even when you look back at childhood hurts and bad relationships and money issues. And watch this, when you start meditating, your discernment window goes up. You catch what I'm saying? And watch this.
Absolutely.
Come on. And watch this. When you start meditating, it disconnects you from the world. And so now you're in the world, but not of the world. And you watch someone who has learned how to disconnect and really spend time with themselves. they actually end up being more calmer in their no to people, in their comfortableness of saying, no, I'm not going to go out with you guys tonight. Hey, I'm staying in this weekend. Hey, I'm okay. And they were like, well, so what's wrong with her? What's wrong with him? That's because you've gone in and you're doing that inner work. So I think the authentic self comes through inner work. I think it comes
Mhm.
through meditation. I think it comes through journaling, not about external factors,
Yes.
about internal factors that you're discovering about self.
That's so good. That's so good. I like one of the comments said people relate to real people, real situations, and knowing that they can relate.
Yeah.
And so it has a lot to do with, that's one of the things that we deal with on a daily basis.
Yeah.
And so one of the other things is that we can't be chameleons. Like we can't go in and want to change because of the location we are, the atmosphere that we're in, or we want to fit in. We got to be our authentic selves, whatever room we walk in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because when you don't be your authentic self, you may miss the opportunity that somebody is looking for you, but you're
Correct.
too busy trying to be somebody else.
So good, so good. And the challenge is though, it's knowing that you need to be your authentic self and not a chameleon. Which over the years, Angela, crazy thing about it was I was a chameleon.
Mm-hmm.
Over the years, I was a chameleon, and what I found out was, or has been, it's been the thing that has kept me from not actually rising to the place of my true calling.
Right.
But here's what I had to find. I had to find what I call my authentic self, actually, what was deeper, bigger, and even better than what I subscribed to on the surface. And so I would be like, most people call their authentic self what they have become accustomed to, not who they are truly.
Wow.
So,
Mm-hmm.
what my mama always told me I was, well, the truth is you've been that way for a long time, but you could actually even be better than what your mama said.
Mm-hmm.
You could be better than what the teacher said. You could be better than what you've been accustomed to. So once I started to get that, that's where I am now. Like I was talking to my wife the other day, and I said to her, I am learning how to live with no elephant in the room, no skeleton in the closet. To me, that's at the highest level of authentic. Somebody interviewed me a couple months back, and they asked me a question. They said, "Is that off limits?" I said, "Nothing's off limits. I can do anything."
I
I can,
love it. Nothing's off limits. I love it.
yeah.
So my next question, coach, is this. A lot of people have dealt with some very traumatic and life-altering situations. And these situations has even either stagnated them or set them back. How do you begin the journey of moving forward from this kind of a trauma or life-altering experiences?
I'm a big advocate for help. I teach someone is assigned to help you.
Yeah.
But what happens is a lot of people are in them having to accept the fact that they're hurting and in a bad place. They're in denial and they're also in pride sometimes. So to have these two things fighting you, denial and pride, will keep you from getting help.
Mm-hmm.
And oftentimes trauma is so ingrained in us in a bad place that we can't self medicate ourselves through it sometimes. Sometimes it's so bad you need a professional therapist. You need you know what I mean? You need someone, this is what they're called to do. This it's like going to the hospital. There are certain wounds you can't, they say, watch this. We have to take him to the hospital. We have to take her to the hospital. I think that is the same case when, and self-diagnosing is something we've become accustomed to, but I actually think that's causing more sick people to move
Mm.
around, thinking they're okay because they're not bleeding
Yeah.
and leaking everywhere. But the truth is, you get close enough to them and you discover that this is a hurting person. This is a person who's still dealing with some trauma. And so I say, get help. That's number one. And
Mhm.
then here's the deal. When you start doing that inner work, you have to get past what you've been accustomed to. So, like for me, I make my doctors work. I make my dentist work. I make my pastor work. I make my coaches work. I make my bankers work. Listen, when the customer service people call, I make them work because they are called to help me.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to be frustrated One lady said to me, I'm so frustrated. I said, why don't you ask for help? She
Mm,
said, what do you mean? I said, that's what they have that, it's called customer service over there.
yeah.
Someone is assigned to help you. So I would say to somebody, it sounds light, but when you're dealing with trauma, understand someone wants to help you, but you're going to have to open up. And a lot of times, trauma causes you to not want to open up.
Yeah. So, since we're talking about getting help, this is one of the questions because um, we understand that to live effectively, we have to make sure that mentally we're in a good place. We know that right now mental health is a major topic, right?
Mhm.
But we understand that because we are faith-filled people and faith-based people, um, sometimes we get the just pray about it.
Mhm.
And I believe 100% in prayer, and I know you do. But I
Yeah.
also believe that prayer and a therapist work
Yeah.
together.
Okay.
So, can you speak to that? Because sometimes we, as believers, want to stay totally on the spiritual side and not understand that we're spirit, soul, and body, and therapy and counseling is okay. And within this community, we deal about faith, fitness, family, fun, and finances, right? So, can you speak to that about having faith, but also being able to seek and get the help you need?
Angela, I'm gonna say something that's real strong for my people of faith.
Okay.
Okay, and I really believe this with my whole heart. It's a little funny, but it's true. I think a lot of people of faith, they don't lean into therapists because they're broke. I,
Mm.
I I think a lot of
Uh,
people, and prayer is free.
right.
prayers, prayers free, and the therapist is a bill. And if their insurance don't cover it, they would rather go ahead and buy Starbucks 3 times a day rather
Mm.
than save that money and go find themselves a, you know what I'm saying, a therapist at an affordable rate
Yeah.
that can help them, or go to a church that actually has that level of service, but it may not be who you would have accustomed. Hey, watch this. You need a therapist. You ain't got the money, and you're a person of faith, and you're praying, but God is saying you're gonna need someone to help you. But the Catholic Church has a therapist center that's free. You know, a lot of people are spirit-filled believers, but I'm not going to no Catholic therapist. You're gonna be stuck in your position for a long time because you're broke. You are you the people who are called to help you, you're not embracing them because they're coming through the form of a little bit different of belief.
Yeah.
But at the very core, a therapist is a therapist.
That's
And
right.
if they're a licensed therapist, I believe if you can find a Christian therapist, get a Christian therapist. But if you can't find a Christian therapist, get a therapist,
Right.
because mental health challenges is real. Here's the deal: when you have a heart problem, you want to see a heart doctor.
Hmm.
When you got a tooth problem, you want to go see you gonna see your dentist. Okay. Well, when you have a mental disorder, when something's going off in your head, you want to make sure that the person who's helping you is skilled in that respective area. And so I believe in prayer, as you eloquently stated. But I think a lot of times people don't embrace therapy and the therapist because oftentimes they're limited in their funding. And I think they don't say that a lot, Angela, but because it costs. A good therapist
Yeah.
ain't cheap. Okay. A good therapist is going to cost you something. Okay. They're either broke, and then they're prideful, and then they're so religiously minded in their small niche of religious belief, meaning I'm
Mhm.
full gospel, I'm Baptist, and I'm not going over there to the Methodist. Free counseling center to get some help when you're broke.
Right. I like Cynthia's comment. Check out Cynthia Ferguson's comment. It's not only faith filled people who may feel this way, it's the way you may have been raised. It was never called mental health issues in the past. Families would say people were acting crazy,
Yeah,
right? Something's wrong with them. They need to go to the crazy house.
right.
And so I think also she has a great point. It's
Yeah.
how we've been reared and raised to make us think that anybody that needs to go see a therapist or get counseling was considered crazy. So we shun upon that and we won't take up that opportunity when it's really there. It's a sign to help you.
It's a sign to help you. Listen, listen. just like you said, it's crazy how certain communities label us crazy without helping us to understand there is a element of service to
Mm.
assist us with our challenges, like that of a dentist, like that of a heart doctor. I mean, just someone is assigned to help you, and a lot of people never got that along the way.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. So, I want to go here.
Yeah.
For a person that has many gifts
Mhm.
and can do many things, um, how do they manage the gifts that they have effectively?
Yeah.
Sometimes life balance, work balance, the balance of wearing many hats can sometimes be difficult. But then when you add on a person that has a lot of different gifts and has the anointing to do quite a few things, how do you manage and balance being able to do multiple things?
I'm going to answer that two parts. I was talking to a coaching client yesterday, and this question came up a few times. Great question. Thank you. It's in two parts. Number one, I heard Mike Murdoch said this: most men or women fail because of broken focus.
Mm,
And I think if you're too scattered, you're not going to be able to concentrate at the level that you need to acquire mastery in what you're capable of doing. That's number one. The second part is, I would say that a lot of people don't understand the importance of phases. I'm
mm,
a big advocate on phases: phase one, phase two, phase three, phase four. Phase one could be get my degree. Phase two can be, establish my speaking platform. Phase four can be launch my women's ministry. Four, I mean, the next phase could then be, build this center in the neighborhood, but it's phases. And so what happens is my degree secured me a good job, which was phase one. And then I launched a women's platform that was able to be the second phase that played out of the funding that came from the first phase. And then when the women's platform and my career has taken off and I want to launch a school, I can use the funding and the name recognition to kick off the school. So phases. I often talk about the difference between the Atlantis and Bahama resort in the Bahamas. The Atlantis built itself in phases, and it's been 30 years, I think, where it's just been doing phenomenal in the region. And it was a multiple phase resort coming into the Bahamas. Bahama came almost at the same size, but wanted to come in instantly with all of these faceted, and ran out of money
mm.
and literally wasted a lot of time, resources, and it was an eyesore. Actually, at some point, it just was a mess because they were taking on too much at the time. And some people can do it, but it's rare.
Yeah.
Very few people are able to have a total level of mastery in multiple elements or areas all at once. I think phases is the way when you're multi gifted. And I think focusing on those phases in part and then just intensify. You say, okay, in the next 3 years, I want to be this. And when this becomes locked in, I'm going to go to phase two, which is this. And so for me, Angela, I'm on the third phase of the development of Ricardo Miller. And I see seven phases. In as far, Bible say, write the vision,
Yeah.
the plan. I could see seven phases. And the phases I see can go straight into about 80, Angela.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. There's about three more unveiling of Ricardo Miller people haven't even seen yet.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Watch it. The Ricardo Miller first started off as the street hustler. Then he was the zealous young Christian. Then he was the children's minister slash evangelist.
Mhm.
Then I moved over now to being the life coach and operational pastor at my church. And I'm telling you, I see seven, and I'm hoping God to be able to live those out.
I love it. I love it. Phases, phases. And that's something that I learned from you, doing things in phases. Because when you're multi-gifted, you can practically do everything at one time, but guess what? You can't. We
Yes,
fool ourselves in believing that because you're going to spend more time focusing on one thing and the other things are going to drop off. So that is so good. Let's switch for a moment because in this community, we talk about part of our effective living is to learn to have fun.
yeah.
So this is kind of funny because I read where uh, Pastor Braddock Clare said broke is crazy. So I'm gonna throw out a broke question, but we're
Okay.
gonna change it a little bit.
Yeah.
If I want to have fun
Yeah.
and I don't have a lot of money,
Yeah.
what are some low budget activities I can do to start having fun?
Well, first you have to address your mindset because a lot of people have attributed fun to spending money. And you got to change that. You got to change that. Fun doesn't necessarily mean spending money. That's the first thing. Get out of your head that fun means spending money. That's not true. Well, I'm so broke this weekend is going to be frustrating because I don't have any money. This is the holiday weekend. I don't have any money. Well, the truth is fun doesn't always attach itself to having money. That's number one. Number two, every city here in the United States and around the world are now starting to develop itself around identifying what's enjoyable to do in the city. So if I came to your city, before I get there, I can say, Google, what's fun to do?
Yeah.
You catch what I'm saying?
Yep.
What if you came to Dallas, you could say, what's fun to do? And then here's another one. The thing about AI and technology, you can now say, what's fun to do that's free this weekend?
Yep.
This ain't rocket science. But once again, but you have to move away from believing that fun has to be where you're spending money. And let me just give you a couple of simpler things, even beyond just asking the internet
Mhm.
uh, what fun is. I'm talking about a day at the park.
Yep.
Okay, I'm talking about festivals. I'm talking about museums. I'm talking about fairs and different activities being held by organization. I told my wife this weekend. I said we want to do something amazing, right? She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Oh, a church that I know that's about 15 minutes from our home. I know the pastor, and they just announced that they're having a all white worship night and fish fry." On Sunday night, on that's Labor Day weekend.
Yeah.
And they said, "What's this? Food's free, worship's free, and you're wearing all white." I'm like, listen, I said, we need to show up over there in our all white, eat our fish fry, play some dominoes, go into the sanctuary, do some worship, and enjoy this another form of fun, free activity.
Fun free activity. Y'all heard it. Listen, go out there and find some fun free activities you can do because in order to live effectively, you got to add some fun to your life. You got to enjoy your life and enjoy the life God has given you on this earth for that time. So, I got a question, coach. You are a parent, and one of the things that I know you teach your son is you don't just live effective living or model it. You actually teach this to him. For those of us that are parents, even if we have small children, and I want to go to the small children first, because I believe when you start them young, you're creating a consistent pattern of success. What will you say to the parent that has small children? How do they start the development process of teaching their child how to live effectively?
It's amazing. That's such a great question. I'm going to say this through a story. And I heard this story years ago, and it speaks so clear to your question. A story is told of a mother who raised three kids and sent them to school, made sure that they did their homework, made sure they were in extracurricular activities, reminded those three kids, hey, the sky is the limit, encouraged those kids to enrolled in after school programs, got them scholarship opportunities. They went off to college, graduated top of their classes. And the story is told they were all together one Thanksgiving. And, as the oldest daughter being close to the mother, they were in the kitchen talking to mom, say, I thought one of y'all would have made it really big. I thought y'all would have all been hugely successful. And the daughter said, what do you mean we'll be hugely successful? And she said, I told y'all the sky was the limit and all y'all did was just got a job. And the daughter turned around and said, Mom, we did what you did. We did what you did. You simply got a job. You just took care of your family. You were strong, you were capable, and you did well. But what people miss is the message you say is not the message they catch.
Mm.
The message you say is not the message they catch. It's the life I live. May it speak for me. So she was saying, go for the stars, but she wasn't going for the stars.
Yeah.
She was saying, go be all that you can be. And she wasn't going to be all that she could be. And I think that right there, look at the people who oftentimes get fuel from their parents. They would say, my mother worked 2 jobs. My mother was, she didn't have an education and she became a manager. Or my mother started with one little selling food in her kitchen, and she opened 2 restaurants. And now I'm the mayor of the city. You see? Did you see
Yeah.
that? Mama had a hustle. Mama had a drive. Mama had. I was looking at Kendrick, a good friend of mine's brother. He's in the group right here. Kendrick, I was watching him, and his mother shows up, and she's the life
Mm.
of the room. Guess what? Kendrick shows up, and he is the life of the room. She has lived the message worth mirroring. And
Mm.
he is now living that message because it was mirrored. I'm going to close with this statement. They say children have never been good at listening to their adults, but they've never failed in imitating them.
Oh, that's good.
And so I think for parents of all ages, even now with me with RJ, I want to say to him, I keep telling him, hey man, how when life punched me in the face, how did I get up?
Hmm.
When I limited with finances, when health challenges, when it came to career, when it came to the pandemic, when it came to, you understand what I'm saying, my faith,
Yeah.
when it came to my credit scores, when it came to my peaceful home, how's your dad live?
Yeah.
How's your dad? What do you see me do? Not what you heard me say.
Yeah. That's really, really good. That's really, really good. Um, this final question that I have is how do you track your progress? We set goals, we put in place things that we desire to accomplish. How do we track our progress and measure that for success?
So good. Such a good question. I love the concept of writing down my goals. And at the beginning of the year, I'm a big advocate. I teach people at the beginning of the year or the beginning of the month. This is right now, day 1 of September. I would write down 20 things I want to do this month. Okay. And that's my goal for the month. Now, overall, I would have written maybe 50 things I want to see done this year. I divide those things up into months, and each month I'm chipping at them. And so I'm able to look at my first quarter and say, Ricardo, are you making progress? I'm able to look at my second quarter and Ricardo, are you making progress? You see what I'm saying? And it's working on the phases, going back to that, of even establishing goals that are in layers.
Yeah.
So Minister Carol Crockett, she knows we talk a lot about this whole concept of chip, chip, chip. It's like writing a book. If I said I'm going to write a chapter a week for 7 weeks, I can have a 7-chapter book. If I say in my home I'm going to clean up a room, 1 room a week,
Yeah.
and it's 7 rooms in the house. By 7 weeks, I can have the entire home immaculate. Just they be like, man, this place is nice. It wasn't always nice. I had a goal, and
Hmm.
I made sure addressed it. Same thing with my health or my fitness. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna start. I'm gonna drink more water. Lately, Angela, I moved away from carbs. I'm like, okay, sugar, candy. I mean, bread and so forth. I'm like, I go to a burger joint and I say, give me a lettuce wrap.
Hmm.
Somebody say, oh, how you doing that? Because it's on the goals.
Yeah.
And all of them over time, Angela, adds up to looking like an amazing life. So I'm
Hmm.
going to go with this with that goal element. I think every time you write down a goal, it's like a puzzle. And
Wow.
each one of those goals is a piece. And if you wrote down 52 goals this year, that's like a 52-piece puzzle. And when the year ends, if you did everything you said, the picture should have emerged as a beautiful one.
Yeah.
You wrote the goals and you put those pieces there. And when you keep plugging in, watch this, fix my credit, take care of my health. You see what I'm saying? Organize my home, travel to this destination. When you did that, before you know it, you have a vision board that's a puzzle that came together. And then people start saying, oh, she has an amazing life. You know, she was intentional about writing her goals down. And then she organized them in a way to ensure that over time, she just kept chipping away. And that's the reason why you have to be one with self, Angela, because a big part of goal setting is not getting distracted by the noise, by
Mm.
what everybody else is doing. You just got to know you chip. Angela, you've known me now for a while
Yeah.
and consistently
Chipping
showing
away.
just chipping away. It's like when one of my statement is when the dust settles, I'll still be here.
I love that. As you were talking about the puzzle, I'm a very hands-on person. I love to journal, but I also like to do something hands-on that goes along with what I want to accomplish. So when you were talking about the puzzle, this is something that someone can do. Go to the dollar store and buy you a 12-piece puzzle.
Yeah.
Flip it over, and on each piece, write down your goal. And so, as you're accomplishing those goals, start putting that thing together. And when you finish and you flipped it over, you have a beautiful picture. And that's exactly what Coach is talking about. So, do an activation activity. That's for you. That's the activation activity for you to help put those puzzle pieces of your goals together and see. And then you'll see the progress of if it's taking you a long time to reach one because you haven't put a piece in a while, right? So that's just something that popped in my head. Coach knows me, I get ideas. So for you to do to go along exactly with what he said. All right.
That's the children's ministry, and that's an incredible idea. Wow, I love that idea. I love it. That is so good.
Yeah. So, Coach, final question.
Mhm.
This is the question of the year
Okay.
that people want to know. They've been asking forever, and they're waiting for someone to give them the answer. And it's the question is, how do I find my purpose?
Yeah.
How do I find my purpose?
That's such a strong question. It's actually chapter one in my book is the why.
Yes.
It's discovering the why. Purpose is the why. And it is the pursuit of all humanity to figure out why. Now, Miles Monroe said this, where purpose is unknown, abuse is inevitable. So when you don't know your purpose, you're bound to just recklessly allow your life to just be, right? So to answer your question, this is how I feel as though a person could discover their purpose. I think it's the Bible says this. Watch this. It said, whatever your hands find to do it with all your might.
Mm.
Right? I would say first and foremost, make a commitment to do whatever you're being given an opportunity to do.
Yes.
That's first. Opportunities will always be given to us, Angela. A lot of people aren't going to never discover their purpose because they will never raise their hands to take on the opportunity. That's number one. As you take on opportunities, you journal and identify what I'm not good at.
Mm.
Watch this, Angela. I raised my hands to clean the fish, but now I realize I hate fish and I can't clean fish. So what I'm going to do is I will never raise my hand for cleaning fish again.
Yeah.
Somebody, hey, can you lead the choir? I may raise my hand the first time, but after 3 choir rehearsal, the level of I'm not going to do that again. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And before you know it, you have a whole list of I won't do because that's not me.
Yeah.
In your pursuit of identifying what's not you, guess what you're going to discover? What is you? Or what you are in that of leaning into like this. I discovered years ago that I love talking. I love teaching. I love helping people. I can do this in and out. I had a whole day of one-on-one coaching sessions yesterday, right up to 7 o'clock. Started at 8 a.m. and ended at 7 p.m. And I was thinking, I told my wife, I'm going to start doing coaching sessions on Mondays too. And I would love to do coaching sessions so much that I can do it Monday through Friday, 45-minute sessions all day. I love but here's the I wasn't always there.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I'm now good at, knowing what I'm not good at. And I
Wow.
think purpose is equally knowing what you're not gifted to do. So I tell people I'm like fish in water. Angela, there are some things you're like fish in water. It comes naturally to you.
Mhm.
That's purpose. Now, the question is, can you turn purpose into money? Can you turn purpose into a profitable endeavor that allows you to live in that? And that's what I'm trying to do with effective living. That's what you should be doing, and others should be doing with their skill set. Discovering purpose and then learning to live in purpose. Did you catch
That's
that?
good.
Because it's possible to discover your purpose, but never figured out how to live in purpose because you've not figured out how to let purpose fund your life.
That's good.
You see?
Yes.
So everybody is good at something. Now, here's the deal. This is another kicker. Oftentimes, what our purpose is, we could come from a family, a circle, a culture, a society that does not celebrate what we're good.
Mm,
And now we're living where we're being celebrated, but we're not purposeful.
that's good.
So now you got somebody who you got the corner office, you got the six figure, and you got the nice car, but you hate your life. But then you got somebody in the backyard doing a garden and selling plants on the internet.
Yes.
And they're in the backyard 12, 15 hours a day, and they are in love with their life. And people are buying plants from them around the world being shipped out to them because garden is what they do. They figured out how to monetize it, bring money from it to take care of their life, and nobody respects them for selling plants on the internet
That's right.
because it's not a degree, it's not a corner office, but you got to know where your purpose is where freedom is where you can live forever because that's where you belong. But you got to be free from society's opinion of your purpose because
Yes.
sometimes your purpose may not get public celebration like others things that society give a lot of attention to. So I think, Angela, everybody has a purpose. I think the vast majority of us know our purpose. Most people don't want to do the work to be able to live from their
Mm,
purpose, or they're still struggling with public opinions of what
mm.
they are settling at. People be like, what, you an entrepreneur? How many employees you got? Oh, you ain't nothing. Which mean you ain't nothing? I'm on my own clock. You work for the, like, why are you
You work for the
judging?
man.
You work for the man. I'm free. But people will make you feel some kind of way. That's why I think in your pursuit to discover purpose, you got to discover self. And when you discover self, you got to be okay disconnecting yourself from everybody else's opinion so that when you have contentment and sitting in your purpose, no matter what you see in the busyness of the world, you are in God and you're in that place that's your sweet spot.
That was so good, so good. And I hope you guys wrote that and jotted that down for all of you that even may know your purpose, but you're still working through it and you're not monetizing it. You're not allowing it to your gift will make room for you. So you want to make sure you do that. Thank you, coach, for taking my questions today. Listen, if you're out there watching and you don't have the Affecting Living book, I need you to run out there right now and go get this book because this book is life changing and super duper amazing. It will help you to trail the course of living an effective life in all areas. Okay. Thank you, coach, for allowing me to drop my questions on you. I hope they weren't a surprise to you, but you answered them so very well that I know all of us on here were blessed today.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, I did not know the questions. Angela she had the questions and she just threw them out there. Next week, every Friday, I want to answer your questions. I want you to throw the questions at me. I'll do my best to answer them. If you want to go back and listen to what was said and pull what's for you, please do that. I have a huge announcement, Angela. I want everybody to know something big has happened for Effective Living. And I'm proud to announce, ladies and gentlemen, that Effective Living, the book, is now on Audible. Yeah, it's now on Audible. And so you can go ahead on Audible and listen to the book. Yes, yes, yes. Effective Living is on Audible. And so, Angela, I've been working on that. I've been wanting to get that by September 1st, like that goal you mentioned.
Yeah.
I told my publishing company, I said, by the 1st of September, I need to announce Effective Living. Audible is out. You can go on Audible. And yesterday, I was driving, listening to Effective Living. I was listening to my own book. And so I was so excited about announcing it today. Thank you, Angela, for making this an amazing question answering session. It was awesome.
Thank you, Coach, and congratulations. And listen, I'm going to get my Audible book right now.
It's on Audible, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Angela. Have a great day, everyone.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.